Alright, so another quick video from me, Jim Rickety. Today's video is about Eastern friendships versus Western friendships, if I can summarize it that way. I spent a year living in Harbin in Shenzhen and Guangzhou in China from 2019 to 2020. And whilst I was there, I made an effort to make friends with some of the locals, and surprisingly enough, in Harbin, a large section of the population is Russian born, or in some rare instances, Russian but born in China. And I made particularly good friends with two young Russian guys. Well, I say young, they would have been early 20s, same as me at the time. One called Artem and one called Alex, and they were both from a place called Vladivostok in Russia, the far east of Russia. And it's very close to Harbin. It's just kind of alongside the border there. Now, up to this point, I'd never really had extended periods of time outside of the. In fact, I'd never had extended periods of time outside of the UK, and I'd never had enduring friendships, as far as I can remember, with Russians, or neither with any Chinese people. And I just wanted to sort of reflect on the difference I saw in the quality of friendship and relationship that I had with those Russian guys. It's actually a real shame, because after the outbreak of the war in Ukraine, the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, by the Russian government, and obviously by proxy by the soldiers who were sent there to invade. Unfortunately, I lost contact with these two guys, and I kind of wonder what happened to them, and hopefully they're okay. But I was speaking to them on WeChat, which is a kind of equivalent of, Telegram, or you could say WhatsApp in Russia. It's used very prolifically by the Russians. I lost contact with them. I think I sent them a follow-up, and no one responded or something. But I think in terms of the quality of friendships I've had today, those two guys sort of stand out as the best friendships I've ever had. Not just in terms of the laughter and the fun and the excitement and the adventures we went on, because we went on plenty of adventures during that year. We went traveling to different places in China. We had a lot of fun going out partying and all that sort of thing, smoking shishas and kind of living life. But also the sort of the quality, the deeper quality of friendship that I felt from those guys. I felt like we had a really strong bond, and it was a kind of a different sensation. It was a different emotion to the sorts of friendships that maybe you get with people in England here, where I live now in London. It was sort of on a deeper level. It's kind of hard for me to put my finger on it, but it felt like qualitatively the relationship was on a deeper level. We were closer. We had each other's backs. I felt like I could rely on them. I felt like they would be there, come what may. I felt that they were, decent, reliable guys who I could rely on, as I say, and who I could trust. There was, I'm hesitant to say brotherhood, but it felt like they felt in a way like brothers. It felt like a form of brotherhood, and it was interesting with those guys, because the way I met them was very interesting. And I will try and get my phone operational, because I have the phone here with all the pictures and the videos and everything on it, but it's kind of broken. So I need to try and get that iPhone repaired so I can access all the videos and stuff, because there's just an absolute abundance of hilarious videos and this, that, and the rest on there from my time in China with those Russians. But basically, like as I was saying, it was they were like my best mates at the time. And as I was saying, like I met them actually. The first time I met them, it was actually in a mall, I think, or it was near a mall. And I actually saw them, and they were like the first white guys I'd seen in ages. And I actually walked over and talked to them. And I just said, "Yeah, where are you guys from?" They said they're from Russia. I said I was from England. And we kind of like we kind of like spoke a little bit. And then I think I took one of the guy's numbers, or I tried to take his number, but it was kind of a little bit iffy and a little bit standoffish from their quarters. So I was like, okay, whatever. And then I saw them again like a few weeks later, like randomly. I was cycling into like Central Harbin, and I cycled past them, and I stopped on my bike, and I got talking to them, and we kind of like cracked a few jokes, and then I think I kind of contacted them, and then we then like hung out, and I went around their house. But I think I can think of one example of a situation actually, just to kind of back this up. It's not just my feeling, it's also, there's actually solid examples, because we did a lot together. We spent a lot of time together. And on one occasion we went to Guangzhou. We went to the party district there, which is basically like a really long street in Guangzhou. It's got like lots of different clubs and restaurants and stuff everywhere, and it's an amazing kind of party area. And we were there. And I remember on one occasion I was dancing with these guys, and I sort of danced. I sort of made a move to dance with a girl who was dancing near me, and I sort of engaged her, or tried to engage her. I think I said something to her, and all of a sudden this guy came bulldozing in, like a Russian guy, and she was Russian, I could kind of tell, and he kind of like put me on the back foot, and he kind of got in my face, and he was shouting, and then out of nowhere Artem just kind of came and like put himself between me and the guy, and started shouting at him back in his face, and like pushing him back, and basically put this guy in his place, and essentially told him that he wasn't to speak to me again. And he didn't, and he was now he was on the back foot, because Artem was quite an aggressive, not in the sense that he would get aggressive, but if you pissed him off, he could get really aggressive. And he told me that he did time in a Chinese prison. He did something like 2 months or 3 months in a Chinese prison because a Chinese man hit him in his car, and basically Artem punched the guy in the face or something, and the police said you can either apologise and pay like the equivalent of like 200 sterling to like apologise, or you can go to prison. And Artem always had this thing about like, I don't know what he would call it, like his principles or something. He would always talk about his values, and he said he just couldn't apologise to this guy because he wasn't in the wrong. This guy literally ran into him in his car. So if anything, he was owed an apology, sort of thing. So I just these guys were really, I was really close with them, and they were really good friends of mine. And there was lots of stuff they did during that time that really stood out to me. They were my good friends, and it makes me almost want to cry to think they might be dead, because I know that the war broke out and there were a lot of call-ups and things happening. In terms of the recruitment of younger people, and they were young people, and they would now be younger than me, so they would be like 26, 27 or 25, and they may have been deployed, so it brings great sadness to me. But I felt more in common with those Russians than I feel in common with a lot of guys in London. And actually I don't think I have one English friend now who, like, I think I have one, but the guy that I'm really good friends with, isn't even really English. I mean, he is English, he grew up here, but I think he wasn't born here. He's Polish. So I'm just making the point that of the friends I now have, which is very few, by the way, I don't have a lot of friends. I have like 3 that are like considered good friends, that are actual friends, proper friends. But none of them are English. None of them grew up here. None of them are born here. So I just think the quality of I think that we have a problem in England, and maybe even by extension in the West, with our friendships. How reliable are you? If your mate called you up and he needed your help, and he needed you to do something for him, and it was going to be inconvenient, it was going to cost you money, it was going to inconvenience you, it was going to potentially set you back, would you do it? I think it's important to do it, because this is the point of friendship. Friendship is it's an end in itself. It's not a means to an end. You're not friends with people because of some gain. You're not trying to gain anything. It's a value. It's an end in itself, as I say, and I see that that's lacking. I'm not saying I'm the best friend either. I also suffer. I'm not saying that I'm exempt from these problems, but I suffer with these problems too, in terms of on my end of the equation, for sure. I'm not going to deny it, but I'd like to think that I'm a better friend than a lot of people in the West, and I think that friendships in the West are significantly weaker than friendships in the quote unquote in the East, or you could say, based on the example I've given, in Russia. And it's sad. It's sad because I don't think many people really experience like true friendship. I have one extremely good friend who I'd regard as my best friend, who's from Iraq. He came here during or just shortly after the Iraq War, as far as I understand, and I'm really, really good friends with him. And he is a guy that I go out of my way for, and I'll make time for him. And if he needs something, I'll help him with it, because that's the whole point of the friendship. Just as I know he would help me if I needed something. It's about the little things. It's about the brotherhood. It's about helping him out. It's about supporting him. It's about nurturing him as far as you can help him out with things that he needs help with, and he'll help you out with goals you have. And it's not just about the good times. It's not about going partying and drinking and having banter and, you know, fucking around. It's about that deeper connection. And I don't see that in English guys. Unfortunately, I really don't see that. I'm stereotyping, I'm generalizing, but that's the whole nature of talking about comparing nations. It does necessarily involve that. But these are just some reflections on Eastern versus Western friendships and relationships. I'm a guy where I believe in the quality, not quantity of friendships. I think Instagram is kind of hilarious in the sense that people have like followers, or they have these counts, and they're like, the more that they have, the kind of more like standing they have. And it's like, okay, you have like 100,000 followers. Okay, you must be like more valuable, or like you're like cooler than me or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but what does that even mean? You have 100,000 followers. Like, they're literally pixels on a screen. These numbers are pixels on a screen. Like, if you called these people up and you asked for their help, you're in hospital and you like needed them to visit, would they visit you? Like, probably not, unless they wanted to get your autograph if you're famous, or they wanted something out of you. Like, it reminds me of the story of the prodigal son, you know, where he has all that money and like all of a sudden like everyone wants to become his friend. Like, that's just crap. I don't want friends like that. I want like reliable friends who like me for who I am. I'm not trying to prove myself to them. I'm not trying to get anything out of them. They're not trying to get anything out of me. You know, maybe I'll be broke one day and I need help, or like not necessarily financial, but I could go through a hard time. I could be broke. I could have you know, money problems, women problems, you know, employment problems, whatever problems. And like, it's about having friends who are just there for you. They'll be there for you when you need them, like a family member, like a brother. And I have two brothers, and like if they need anything from me, I'm gonna help them because they're my brothers. I have a sister too, and I'll do that for her too, or my parents. And it's like, it's getting me exasperated, this conversation, this monologue, because it's like, yeah, it's you know, if you can't even do friendship properly, what can you do properly? Like, friendship's kind of like, it's like, you know, you got your family, and then like, isn't the second one your friends, or like, what's the second one? I don't know. Maybe it's like follower count on Instagram, or like, you know, how much money you have in the bank. Like, for me, friendship's like second, just after family. You know, your friends are kind of second. I'd put girlfriend third. Like, no offense, but I'd put girlfriend third. Like, do relationships come and go? Yes. Do friendships stay? Hopefully. You know, it's about being mature. It's about when you have disagreements, you deal with them. You iron these things out. You be mature. You bite your tongue if you need to. But yeah, the West has got a friendship problem. That's my opinion. There's a serious friendship problem, and I think it's a symptom of the sort of isolation society that we are increasingly living in. We're living online. We're living in you know, enclaves, little cul-de-sacs of humans that aren't connected, and it's sad. It's very sad, and I hope we can fix it, because I'm not talking, you know, I can't control the actions of others, but from where I'm stood, you know, I'm gonna make every effort I can to be a fucking good friend to other people, because for me that's an end in itself. And life's just not about making like loads of money, or, you know, having a lot of followers on Instagram. Like, I sort of want to have like a more quiet life where I have enduring, decent, deep relationships with people, you know, that bring satisfaction to my life and bring satisfaction to theirs. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching.